and welcome to Comics with Jose. My name is Jose. I love comics and I want to share them with you. Follow me on Twitter at Art of J. Velez, on Instagram at jvelez622. We're going to review some comics that I like, that I love, and some that I don't like or love. I own all the comic books that I am showing. Even though we're going to be looking at them digitally, I actually have copies of every single comic book that we are going to review. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for coming here and having a chance to listen to me ramble on about some of my favorite, or at least some of the comic books that I enjoy. We are going to be looking today at Action Comics Annual 1 from 1987. This is after the relaunch of Superman. This is written by John Byrne with art by Arthur Adams and Dick Giordano. This teams up Batman with Superman, drawn by Art Adams, who does not do a lot of DC work. He's done a few things, couple covers here and there. I think he's done a couple of things in the interiors, but this by far I think was his biggest thing he'd ever done at that time. I bought this off the rack. I was blown away by this. Art Adams was a Marvel guy to me, and seeing him do Superman and Batman was so cool. So during this time, Action Comics was sort of the replacement for DC Comics Presents. John Byrne wanted to have Superman teamed up with another superhero or supergroup or anything like that. So he, keeping on with the tradition of Action Comics, John Byrne decided to team up Batman with Superman. So it's a very cool story. So here we believe we have the. Oh, we did not have the credits, so it must have been just a filler page. So um, we start here with a very Mike Mignola-esque type of scenery here. You can see the clouds, the bats, and the foliage, and it looks very similar to how you would see Mike Mignola compose an image. So this girl here is running through. She's being chased by some town folk, and here very dynamic. This almost looks like Nightcrawler to me from the X-Men, but Art Adams, a lot of really cool poses that he composes, uh, and some of the things that it's really cool just to see these artists do certain do different things that you're not familiar with seeing them. You know, Art Adams is an X-Men guy, and here he is doing a Batman. So Batman and Superman. Can't forget Superman. This is, after all, an Action Comics. So, like I said, this is very Mike Mignola-esque. And here, this is a total Art Adams. You can definitely tell it's Arthur Adams because he does very beautiful women. He draws action scenes. Look at this, and then and the title of our story is Skeeter. And that happens to be her name. So I don't know if I'd be running around with no feet in the swamp, but hey, that's just me. Or no shoes, sorry, in the swamp. So a very cool image. So Superman and Batman will be here, and here you have your credits of John Byrne, Art Adams penciling, inked by Dick Giordano. Rest in peace. Dick Giordano was one of DC's heavy hitters. He was to DC sort of what John Romita is to Marvel. Not John Romita Jr., John Romita Sr. is to Marvel. He was um, just a guiding force through for DC. So And so they're trying to stop her and kill her. And why? Well, we'll find out why. Very cool. This is probably the way that I have it set up on my computer. This is probably how it is drawn. So if you were to take an art page, it is probably at this size that you see it here on the screen. Um, she makes it home and evades her. Oh, it does not evade them. So she makes it home, and um, they're getting ready to get her, or as they say here, get her. And she jumps in the water, and they just assume that she drowned. So I mean, it's very different because this is a, like I said, this is very Magnola-ish. So she goes back home, and typical Arthur Adams. I mean, this is Arthur Adams to a T. And if let's see, so her mom and dad are there, who happen to be corpses. And obviously, this is somewhere in Louisiana that it's happening. Fayerville. I don't know whether that's a made up town or a real town, but this car is pulling up, and this gentleman pulls out, and looks like he gave her a ride. So, gonna do some investigating. So, we all know who likes to investigate here. So, checks into a motel room, and you see the shirt. So, who investigates? Well, nothing but Batman. Um, this is a very cool dynamic pose, even though it's very simple. When you shrink it down in comic book size, it looks cool. It's very seeing these in such big size, and then when you see it in a small size, uh, this image I thought was way more detailed. And look at this. This is actually pretty cool that when you get it in a smaller size, um, it does look pretty cool. A Batman um, in the corner overlooking the town. So Batman is trying to see kind of something that's going on, and very cool pose by Arthur Adams. This is, after all, why you get Arthur Adams to do the comic book here, because you want these dynamic poses, particularly with one of your big two heroes. This is during a time when Batman still wore the little yellow circle around the bat emblem. So, the lady that he helped, her throat's been ripped out. He says, just like in Gotham, just like the others. So, these people think that he did it. They must not look at the news because, of course, Batman's pretty famous. So, and they got him cornered, but he's Batman after all, and Batman always gets out. So, we kind of reminisce. We gonna go back here, and Batman's investigating a similar crime, and he says he's gonna need this. So he made a phone call. This is Daily Planet, which of course is where Clark Kent works, and Batman here calling Clark Kent, and this is why I love. So I made a comment in one of my videos that currently, since Brad Meltzer took way back in the early 2000s, when Brad Meltzer he did Justice League, he had everybody calling by their first name, and I just never agreed that Superman would call Clark Kent Clark. He would say Kent. And I really believe that that is how Batman would communicate with someone. Batman keeps people at arm's length. Calling him Clark would, as much friends as they seem to be, it's always been Kent to me that Batman would call people by their last name. It just seems the type that it would be him. So anyway, so um either way, Batman is calling Superman from on a telephone pole connecting directly into the line, and Superman's gonna go and investigate. Um, like this panel, all black, just a little red of the cape with the Superman symbol. Although I think this should be red too, because the cape would kind of go through here. And it continues with that. Hey, let the inker do most of the job for you. So, and when Batman gets down, Skeeter is kind of there waiting for him, and she is happy to see him. Batman's a little bit confused. She says she's been waiting for him. And again, with the all black, just is showing a little bit. Art Adams is not very timely, and so this does seem like he had to rush it a bit. So I think that's why you're seeing so much black being spotted, because Art Adams was just probably working on this. Either they didn't give him a lot of times. Art Adams is not your typical penciler where he can give you a page a day. It seems like if you want him to do a good job, he's probably one of those one issue every 60 days, so bi-monthly schedule. But they probably didn't have too much time, and they probably gave him a deadline. So Superman notices that everyone's kind of at home. Nobody's going out at night. So um, Superman's going in to see the sheriff, and sees here with his X-ray vision a stake. So we're kind of dealing with something supernatural is happening. So they're wondering if Batman's contacted them. They say no. And the guy doesn't want him to talk to him because they don't know if he could be one of them. And they're like, this is Superman, not a vampire. Superman looks startled. Um, I, right off the bat, just absolutely love this. I love when comic books, particularly superhero comic books, turn into something different. You know, this was this a horror comic book featuring Batman as Superman. Yes, sign me up. That is absolutely awesome. And so she's taking Batman home because again, she doesn't know he's Batman. She doesn't know who he is. She just thinks it's somebody else. And Batman sees it and goes, "Good Lord!" And she said the name, and how could you say the name? She says, and um, she he's trying to get her to calm down, but she just figured out that he doesn't know um, that this isn't who she thought it was. I love the black again, very Magnola-like composition. If you're familiar with Mike Mignola and Hellboy, then and so um, he's taking Superman to the hospital and sees the morgue, and Superman's just shocked. Very simple images. Again, I don't think he had a lot of time to complete this issue, but he does. He did his as far as the competitions, he's A plus, but the details just aren't there, and I think that has to do with the time that he had. So he's feeling hot here, and she just realized that he is human, not one of them. So um, Batman uh, gets past her and jumps down into quicksand and seemingly drowns here. But we all know it's Batman. So now she knows maybe no one's coming to help them, so she's gonna have to do it herself alone. Love this panel here. A lot of blacks, but the bats kind of just going through there. Very, very creepy. Very, very cool. I really loved this story. When it first came out, just thought it was really cool just because it's so different. It's not just this isn't fighting supervillains, you know. Most of the time, vampire, werewolves, that kind of things, those were for other types of comic books. Superhero comics fought supervillains, and here, we have supernatural. So sees the Superman using his X-ray vision. Um, sees someone pushing those bars, and off he goes. And sees that everyone in that it is gone. Everyone that all those bodies that Superman saw are gone. I like this panel of Superman kind of flying away, and instead of putting him front and center, he kind of shows him that he's sort of flying away by having him a little bit off panel here, so you can't see the full thing. So. And here's Skeeter. Very nice pose. This looks really cool. I have tried copying this drawing here. This panel is it's very solid, and you can see she's changing. She's not that pretty girl that she was. And here comes Superman, kind of looking at all these people, zombie-like, and they're attacking the townspeople, kind of making a riot and destroying the town. And Superman grabs them and tries to uh, build a wall around them. Um, like the use of all black here, versus before where he was just drawn all black. Now he just spots a little white here to peek through the costume, and he feels coldness and Superman. And love this, love this drawing as well. Just blackening the face and leaving the eyes out. So he figures is that she's the one doing it, and now, of course, she's looking more like a vampire. She attacks Superman and actually scratches him. Superman has an invulnerability to magic. It's comic books. Don't overthink it at wondering why magic. Don't know. It just is. He needs to be weak to something. So, and vampires are magical creatures. So he's immune, or he's not immune to them. They can hurt him. So Superman uses his strength, and he says he doesn't like hitting ladies, but she's no lady. And just love that, turning into that monster. And she's gonna try to bite him, and he knows that she can because she's scratched him. And try to hypnotize him. He's getting weaker, and she's gonna bite him, and suddenly she feels pain. You can see a stake going through her heart. By the way, the heart is not in the center of your chest. The heart is actually a little bit towards the left, I believe. But regardless, it's not in the center, your heart. So, and it was Batman, and she thought he was dead. You kind of do feel, I don't know why, maybe I do kind of feel sorry for her, just kind of crying here. Um, and she says she saw him drown, and says, "You saw me sink." And very cool picture here of Batman, and just um, man, sign me up. This is what you get this comic for. Is seeing Arthur Adams just kind of be able to um, draw these superheroes that you don't see him. Um, and he says you can swim in quicksand just like water, if you don't lose your head. And she says, Superman says, he owes him his life. He's just very matter of fact. Yep, I suppose you do. This is when DC Comics um, restarted after Crisis. They just treated it as if Superman and Batman did not know each other, and all that history didn't happen. So they're kind of new to each other. And so Batman says, "Call it self-preservation, Superman. I don't much fancy the idea of a super vampire flying around." And he says, "I guess not, but thanks anyway." And then tells him to get the scratches cleaned with holy water. And now he's back at Gotham, and they're exhuming all these bodies, and Commissioner Gordon's just can't believe that one person did this, and says that Ellie Mae Skaggs was born 2 days after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. So she and her parents were vampires hundreds of years ago. Um, so they Commissioner Gordon says, "Well, at least this ended." And it's very funny because they're exhuming the bodies, so you know something's about to happen. And they go, "Not quite. One last thing to do before nightfall. Um, you and your men are free to leave if you don't feel like watching." And Batman just does Batman things. This is why Batman is so popular, and why, regardless of everything that DC does with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Flash, Green Lantern, it doesn't matter. Everything DC does, it's still always about Batman. There's something about Batman that is super popular with everyone. Everyone loves Batman. He is my favorite character. I grew up in the time of The Dark Knight Returns, so um, and Batman Year One. Those were huge influences on my generation. So Batman is still the person, the one that gravitates towards, but DC still does everything. Also, in 1989, the Batman movie came out by Tim Burton. If you've never watched it, I suggest giving it a watch. It's very cool. But regardless, Batman is just the coolest, and even in Action Comics, Superman's own book, it's still about Batman. So I hope you enjoyed my review of Action Comics Annual 1 from 1987. Like and subscribe. Thanks for listening.